Good afternoon, everybody. I'm wanting to let you know, for you Ohio people, Northern Ohio people, that on this coming Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Bellevue Public Library, I am going to be doing a free talk on the history of spiritualism in Northern Ohio, especially around Bellevue, Norwalk, Milan. We may talk about some with Toledo and Cleveland, but this general area, North Central Ohio, we're going to be looking at the history of spiritualism in this area. So if that's of interest to you, again, that's at 6 p.m. on Thursday evening at the Bellevue Public Library. I'm looking forward to that, and in addition to the talk, I'm going to be presenting a PowerPoint and some photos and some things like that. So that's going to be kind of a different talk or a different presentation than anything I've done there before. So looking forward to that. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the weekend that I just had. If you're looking at the description of the video, you probably see the word skotography and you're like, what the hell is skotography? So this past weekend, and I'll explain that. So this past weekend at the shop, we were hosting a guest medium by the name of Bob Bens. And Bob Bens is an older gentleman, but he's been doing this sort of work for 50 plus years. He from the 70s to I think around 95, he had a home in Lilydale, and he has a lot of old school wisdom, a lot of old school knowledge to offer. So one of the things that he was doing this weekend was a class and taking everyone through a demonstration of skotography, or the production of scotographs. So being that this was I've heard about it. I've heard some of my teachers talk about it in the context of this was something that was done back in the day but not talked about, but not practiced much anymore. So I was really excited to be able to participate in this, as it's sort of a lost art, mostly because in this age, in this era that we live in, everything's digital now. So the photo paper and the chemicals and things like that that are needed are harder to find and more expensive. But I just kind of want to take you through the experience of what we did or what we learned. And if you ever have the chance, Bob travels all over. If you ever get the chance to do this class with him or to attend any of his classes, he's an excellent teacher and he has a lot of knowledge. And like myself, he's very interested in the preserving of traditional or old style ways of working that he does not want to see be lost. So part of him teaching this class and taking everyone through this process was to hand down this wisdom and knowledge so it isn't lost and that future generations can know how to use it. So skotography, or scotographs, is a form of spirit photography, and it does not use a camera. You use your body. You use your human instrument to produce images that are projected or impressed from the spirit world. So I'll give you an idea of what this looks like. The setting is like any other sitting or seance. You work in blackout conditions, and the conduct is very similar to any other sort of circle or seance. If any of you have ever had the pleasure of sitting in, or the privilege, I guess I mean to say, of sitting in with something like that. So the room is blacked out. There's the seats sort of arranged in a circle, and once we kind of talk about the history of it and what it is, the lights go out and the red light comes on. And if you've seen any of my videos before on physical phenomena, you know the importance of the red light, because ectoplasm is very sensitive to white light. So we work in complete darkness or red light conditions because it's less damaging to the ectoplasm. So once all the lights are out, everyone gets a piece of photo paper. Non-developed photo paper. This is the kind of photo paper you can't open in the light or you'll ruin it. It'll just turn black when it's developed, so it can't be exposed to light. Once everyone gets the photo paper, in a very similar fashion to any other circle, we go around, we do a statement of intent, we ask our guides to be with us, two people had additional roles. So one person had the job of being a battery, and we all kind of direct our energy and intent towards her to direct and amplify that energy back to us. And then the role that I played was the sitter who sat in the cabinet, and that was more of the ectoplasmic aspect of it. So it's interesting because in other circles and other seances, usually the cabinet itself sort of acts like a container and an amplifier of energy. But it was interesting the way he taught it, that one person was a battery, one person sat and worked with the spirit chemist or the spirit teams for an excess of ectoplasm to be produced, but in a conscious state. No one was entranced or anything like that. So I was on one side of the room in cabinet. One of the other sitters was on the opposite side of the room, acting as the battery, putting out excess energy, and then the photo paper is handed out. So the lights go out, and we all kind of do our statement of intent and inviting our spirit helpers in. And then, like a lot of other seances, we sing. We sing to build the energy. And you know, the things that you sing in seance are not as important as the energy and the emotion that you put behind it. So usually things that are sung are things that are kind of silly or lighthearted, like Row, Row, Row Your Boat, or Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, or Jingle Bells. Those are the sorts of things. They're just silly, simple little songs that everyone knows the words to, but that you can just sing and be loud with and get the energy up. And so that was alternated with periods of sitting with, so this is the rough side of the photo paper. The shiny side of the photo paper is held in front of the solar plexus. And as you are sitting, you're really just holding the intention of communing with your guides and asking them to use your energy, use your body, use your vibration, and you're pushing from the solar plexus thought, intent, energy onto the photo paper. So you may alternate periods of this, of singing and then sitting in communion with spirit and sort of holding this in front of the solar plexus, or you could also do this where you're holding the photo paper in front of the third eye and you're just putting thought and putting energy out there. After a while of this, go through, make sure everyone's okay, everyone's sort of back from their meditative state, and the red light comes on. And so this part is fairly normal. If any of you have ever had experience developing photographs in a dark room, this part's exactly the same. You know, you have three chemicals. You have a developer, you have a stop, and then you have a fix. So everyone sort of made some kind of indication on the back of their photo paper, and the images or the papers, their pieces of paper, were placed in the developer, and then in the stop bath, and then in the fix. And then after everyone's photo papers were put in the fix, the lights were brought up. And most of the images were fairly blank. I guess most of the photo papers were fairly blank. And the reason that he gave for this, what he explained, is that, you know, this was mostly to take us through the process, for us to see what this experience was like and to know how to do it so we could pass it on. But if we were to sit with a regular group or a regular circle on a more consistent basis and then do this repeatedly, that we would establish the necessary harmony to be able to produce more intricate, more noticeable images, spirit images on the photo paper as they developed. Now, a lot of people had either just plain gray or really dark photos where not much showed up. I really didn't have anything show up in mine except, and I don't know if it'll show up on camera here, but one blue dot developed on my photo paper. The most interesting Skotograph actually came from a 12, almost 13-year-old girl, because children have a very, they have more of a sensitive chemistry for spirit work. And her Skotograph had really interesting bands of dark black and gray and white all in one picture. Her stood out from the rest. So if you have access, you know, if you sit in a circle, or if you're sitting for physical phenomena, or you're not and you just want to experience, you know, whether it's mental or physical or whatever, if you just have a circle and you want to experience this, it's something that you can do at home. All you need is the red light, of course, your blacked out room, and the trickiest part, the hardest part, is going to be finding your chemicals and your photo paper. Now, the chemicals are still findable because there are still people in this digital age who develop their photos in a black room or in a dark room, but the photo paper is incredibly expensive. I think for a pack of sheets of 8 by 10, and I'm not even sure how many pieces or how many sheets come in a pack, but I think Bob said he paid like $85 for the pack of photo paper, so it's not something that you're going to do excessively or waste a lot of. If you were just starting out, you might even, you know, in red light conditions, so, you know, because you don't want to get this exposed to light before it hits those chemicals, otherwise it's ruined, but you might even cut it into really small pieces, you know, like 3 by 3 squares for just experimenting at first, and then sitting in that blackout condition in circle, alternating between singing, meditation, and of course, if you have a circle that's already established and you have a harmony between you, chances are you're going to get better results. So that's skotography, and the end result is the image or the skotograph. Now, a woman that I know who is also a spiritualist said that when she was younger, I believe in like the 70s, I could be wrong there, but that they used to, so this is a little bit different because it's not working ectoplasmically, but they used to take just Polaroid cameras, Polaroid film, and they would go into meditation, and after a period in meditation, they would snap the photo at their third eye and have phenomena appear in those photos as well. So it's something to explore. It's a little bit different. It's not something that's talked about anymore. It's something that's hardly ever practiced anymore. So experiment with it, research, see what it does for you if this is something that interests you. And I know with my own circle, we're probably going to, at some point in the future, experiment with this again, being that we have the black, you know, the dark room and the red light, and I'm sure I can get resourceful and we can come up with the chemicals and the photo paper. But of course, we've been sitting for over a year together, so we have a certain harmony that's established. So I think that we could probably get some really interesting results. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, check out Bob Bens. He also, if you're interested in things like natural law, Bob Bens wrote a book that is kind of hard to get. I think it's out of print, but it's called God is Not a Stranger, and it's all about natural law. And I think that's a topic that's very important for anyone in metaphysics. So check out Bob. If you have the chance to do any of his classes, go ahead and do so. And again, the presentation that I'm doing is at the Bellevue Public Library in Bellevue, Ohio, Thursday at 6 p.m. on the history of spiritualism and famous spiritualists in this area. I know that I mentioned in the newsletter that I'm almost booked up for October, so if you're hoping for a session, you know, it may behoove you to send me a message and get on the books before we get into November. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy your afternoon, and I'll be checking in with you soon.